The trade policy of the Trump administration, marked by the imposition of tariffs on foreign products, has started to directly impact the U.S. defense industry. The rising costs, tensions with allies, and uncertainties over the supply chain raise doubts about the future of America's military capacity. In this video, we will analyze how this tariff war is influencing the defense sector and its possible consequences. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any content like this. It's free and really helps our channel. The combat capability of the United States Armed Forces depends on a complex global network of suppliers. Missiles from Norway, advanced technologies from France and Italy for fighter jets, Swedish missile launchers for the Army, and the assembly of vehicles like the Stryker in Canada are part of this structure. The list is extensive. Despite the high technological level of American companies, it's rare to find a weapon system that doesn't rely on foreign components. However, this chain has been pressured by the Trump administration, which launched a movement to reduce external dependence and encourage the growth of the domestic industry by imposing tariffs on almost all products made outside the United States. This perspective has raised concerns among experts and lawmakers who warn of the risk of increased military production costs, decreased foreign sales, and an impact on the credibility of the United States as a strategic partner. Democratic Senator Jane Shahin from New Hampshire recently sent a letter to the Secretary of Defense warning that, in the short term, the tariffs will raise the cost of the military supply chain and, in the long term, limit the Pentagon's purchasing power, affecting troop readiness. Currently, there is a 25% tariff on imported steel and aluminum, along with a general 10% fee for most trade partners. Tariffs against China, in particular, reach 145%. While new measures against about 60 countries are temporarily suspended, the risk remains, with Trump recently announcing that, after a 90-day break, tariffs will be reimposed for countries that haven't negotiated reductions with the White House. The Department of Defense has agreements with 28 nations that allow exceptions to laws prioritizing American-made products. The big question now is how these partnerships will be impacted. For some analysts, the increase in costs is practically inevitable, as many raw materials and foreign components are used in the manufacturing of weapons and defense systems inside American factories. The aerospace sector is also keeping a close eye on the situation, even though Trump assured that materials intended for military aerospace use would be exempt from tariffs. Still, since many of these materials are shared with other industries, apprehension persists, with fears that additional tariffs will further raise the cost of producing military aircraft. This impact could also affect international sales, which are vital to maintaining the industrial base, especially during periods of reduced demand from the U.S. government. Although they represent only 3.1% of global arms imports between 2020 and 2024, the U.S. dominates 43% of global arms exports. However, high tariffs threaten this leadership. Analysts point out that several countries and blocs are implementing programs to reduce dependence on the U.S., such as the Buy European initiative launched by the European Commission, which allocates up to 800 billion euros exclusively for purchasing weapons and defense systems produced by European companies. This measure, already approved by the European Parliament, is expected to negatively impact American arms sales to Europe while strengthening the defense industry on the continent. In Washington, the Philippines ambassador declared that the country might no longer be able to fund the purchase of F-16 jets, valued at nearly $6 billion, due to the increased costs caused by the tariffs. Other nations are also beginning to question the reliability of the U.S. as a long-term strategic supplier. Even if Trump maintains only the base 10% tariff he has set for everyone, this amount would already represent a multi-billion-dollar increase in arms purchase contracts. This increase could lead many countries to abandon their acquisitions and seek more affordable alternatives in other markets. In Australia, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese criticized the tariffs as an unfriendly gesture, and some members of the Labour Party suggest that the purchase of American nuclear submarines might be at risk. The AUKUS program, which has an estimated cost of over $240 billion over the next 25 years, could be seriously affected. Any increase in costs caused by trade tariffs could cause severe damage to Australia's already stretched budget. In Canada, Premier Mark Carney stated that the old relationship of economic integration and security cooperation with the United States has come to an end. One country we can't forget is the one responsible for manufacturing entire parts of jets like the F-35 and vehicles like the Stryker, which are essential to the U.S. Army. China, so far, has been the most affected nation, responding with tariffs of 125% on American products and restrictions on the export of rare minerals, which are essential to the defense industry. This decision is causing great concern in the U.S. industry, as a single F-35 uses nearly half a ton of rare earths, while a Virginia-class submarine consumes over 4 tons of minerals, the extraction and refining of which is controlled by China in about 90%. This means that it's almost certain that the price of an F-35, which is already high, will increase even further in the coming times, which could lead some countries to suspend planned acquisitions of this aircraft. However, despite the tension, there are signs that the trade war might be easing, with Trump announcing that the 145% tariff on China will soon be reduced. In summary, the trade war initiated by the Trump administration is reshaping the landscape of the U.S. defense industry, a conflict that, while being fought in the economic field, could have profound impacts on U.S. national security and the global balance of power. Now that you know the implications of this trade war on the U.S. defense industry, we'd love to hear your opinion. What do you think about the tariffs imposed by Trump? Leave your comment below and share your thoughts on the impact this might have on the future of global security. Don't forget to like the video and, if you haven't already, subscribe to stay up to date with more analysis like this.